In this video, we are talking all about Universal. We recently had a trip to Universal Studios Hollywood, and we are going to break it down, our thoughts, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it up next on OG 55. Welcome aboard to another episode of OG 55. We are switching gears today.
Oh no! I must have hit that track switch!
And we're talking about Universal. We had a fantastic trip recently, and we're going to talk about it. Good, bad, all of it. Break it down in detail. We're also going to talk a little bit about the future of the Hollywood park, or soon-to-be resort. So we're going to break all that down. But before I do that, I want to introduce my fantastic panel right over here. We have Dr. Dre, producer Dre, Vash Sky, the host of the Freshly Squeezed show here on the channel. Dre, welcome back, sir.
Hey, happy to be back. I'm back in the saddle so soon after today's litany of news. But hey, there's stuff going on with the other big theme park company as well. So we'll talk about all that today. If anybody would like to follow me, you can go ahead and do so right down there at Vash Sky. Just go ahead, type it in, and it should pop up for, as Christine Wastelands McCarthy would say, for all the
robust
discussion right there. And if you want to, you can go ahead and subscribe to Orange Grove 55, this channel you're watching right now. We have some amazing shows, both in the works and coming out very, very soon. So if you guys want to see me, well, it's going to be at my show on there, Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info, squeezed fresh, right from the Grove.
Perfect. And down below, friend of the channel and first time on the channel, we have Mindy. Mindy, welcome aboard.
Hi, welcome. Long time watcher, first time on the show.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, your podcast, and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. It's all under @SweetMissMagicalMindy. You can find me YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. I'm on there, and brand new YouTube channel. It's going to be amazing. Go follow me from the start.
Perfect. Welcome aboard, Mindy. And right over here, we got Ethan, Mr. Theme Park Wizard, our Universal guy, representing the Team Universal over here. Ethan, welcome back, sir.
Welcome. I'm not sweet, I'm not a miss, and I'm not Miss Magical, but I'm a theme park wizard, and you can follow me on Theme Park Wizard down below. Everywhere you can find it, just type it on Google. I'm #1. You can find me if you want to. You can find me. Subscribe right now.
Well, thank you, Ethan. Thank you. So there we go. Oh, Ethan's theme song. Here we go.
Well, you have to have an intro.
Yes.
And it's very fitting there.
Yes. I would bet that that's Ethan's alarm clock in the morning on his phone.
He wakes up.
We get it right.
Every day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that right,
Yep.
Ethan?
Amazing.
So let's dive right in.
I need to make it.
So let's dive right in. So what I kind of want to first discuss is kind of like the overall thoughts of the trip, because just kind of like some quick little bulletin points, good, bad, any kind of like things that stood out for you personally. And Mindy, I'll start with you, because Mindy, you haven't been to Universal in a long time. I mean, before this trip, it's been a while. So what was kind of your like bullet points of your overall trip? Good, bad, whatever.
Well, so it's been years. I mean, over 10 years. You're right. It's been a long time. And when I went the Wizarding World, it had walls still up. So it was just about to open, but I hadn't ridden most of the attractions that we went on. Can you, and I'm sure Vash can attest to this, can I get my mind blown anymore? I don't think so. I was blown away. People always kind of downgrade Universal and oh, it's not good as Disney. I actually believe in wholeheartedly that, and you forgive me for words of names, the attraction in is it Hogwarts? What's the name of that attraction? You guys forgive me.
Harry Potter and the
Forbidden
Forbidden Journey.
Journey.
That is the best attraction I've ever been on in my life. Better than
Wow.
any Disney attraction I've ever
Wow.
seen. In my opinion. Yeah, that blows it away.
Wow.
Take Rise, I love Star Wars and it's great theming, but man,
Damn.
the Hogwarts and Harry Potter, it's like you step into the film. It's like Cars Land. It's amazing. I was just blown away, and I can't wait to go back.
That's incredible. That's high praise from Mindy. Ethan, I mean, you're like
Disney man.
well, Ethan, you're a pretty frequent flyer when it comes to Universal, but your overall thoughts of the most recent trip, good, bad, everything.
I loved it, except for the puddles and me jumping in a pool. I thought it was great. Had some good food. What did we eat? We ate a toast. Had some good food. We, I got a brand new recommendation. Got to ride Flight of the Hippogriff in the rain, which is now I can't ride it any other way because that's like rain hitting your face when you're on the roller coaster. Like, wow, and then, and it was great seeing all your first times in Super Nintendo World and Mindy's first ever.
Ever.
Well,
a decade.
Well, and just so everyone's aware, when Ethan's talking about puddles, I'm going to show you a quick little clip of what we were dealing with that day.
Oh yes, please do.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So, a little taste of the weather that day.
Guys, that was
Torrential.
not exaggerated at all. You see people's umbrellas upside down. There were umbrellas thrown to the side because the wind was so strong, it just blew them inside out. It was incredible.
It's absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild.
There were conversations before we even left Arizona, actually, Mindy, when we were, going back and forth, and we're going to do this, right? And it's like,
Right.
yes, we are absolutely going to do this. And it's like, all right, let's do it.
We
And
tried to come prepared, right? We tried to.
Now,
exactly.
And you really can't prepare for. I mean, it was like a total monsoon. I mean, that was crazy. It was intense. Yeah, we haven't seen that in California in a very long time. But Dre, what are your overall thoughts? Universal Studios Hollywood, good, bad, indifferent. Where do you stand?
I think it's a strong little park right now, honestly, and it has a variety of experiences now that are pretty good. I understand, it's always been criticized as like the projection or simulator park, and yes, it does have a lot of those experiences for sure. But it is kind of growing, and it's what do you want to say? It's diversity of attractions and so forth, and well, we'll get to just how big it might actually end up growing. But Mindy, it was quite a magical experience to go on. Like, I think the first attraction of the day was Transformers, and how you were just like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely stunning and amazing. I remember the conversations at the time when that opened right next to Radiator Springs Racers back in 2012, and how, Transformers, that was the best thing I've ever seen, and I believe it won a Theme Entertainment Award, if I'm not mistaken, over what happened in Cars Land and so forth. So, kind of reliving that and re-experiencing that through fresh eyes. There's somebody who's not necessarily as cynical as maybe the people that we interact with on a daily basis on Twitter and so forth. That was really special and really magical. But we had we had Mummy, and we had this time I got to experience Jurassic World in the rain. That was quite an interesting adventure, both during the day and at night, which was also very very cool. We got to ride the studio tour, which was great. Didn't get to see Water World. That we're gonna have to hold off until our next adventure. But it was I will say it was a great day, and hey, amazing food to boot. And that's why it's like, hey, Universal Studios Hollywood, they're really coming around in terms of their a variety of experiences, but also the quality of them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for me personally, I have a few standouts. Number one, I think the new entry plaza, I believe it's called Production Plaza, if I'm not mistaken. When you walk in, I
Now
think
it's
it's a vast.
Hollywood.
What is it called? Oh, he froze.
Hollywood.
Okay. Well, when you first walk in, that it's absolutely beautiful. It's got that very mission style California architecture, and it's very cohesive, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the design work before this redo was kind of mishmash. They had like that AMC kind of like horror maze thing or whatever to the left, kind of hideous. To the right, they had like a bunch of these big signs with like SpongeBob and all this stuff. It just was a kind of a hodgepodge. They've really cleaned up that main courtyard entry, and it really does present the park in a really great light when you first walk in. It's very much kind of like a mix between Buena Vista Street in DCA and Hollywoodland at DCA, right? So it's very, very cool. I think that was fantastic. Wizarding World to me is beautiful. Wizarding World, I kind of feel at home with that because it feels very much like the most Disney-ish of the entire experience with the cobblestone and the nice little flickering lights at night. Absolutely beautiful. I think my one big criticism with the park, I think the Simpsons area is looking a little worn out. Looking a little rough, in my opinion. From what I understand, that area is kind of on the way out. They're kind of looking to replace that. That might be why. That's the one area where I was kind of like, all right, maintenance ain't the greatest there. But overall, though, the rest of the park looked really, really good.
Yeah, if you compare even Simpsons today with how the park used to be back in the day, I mean, it was something. You had like the Flintstones games. Does anybody remember that? I mean, that used to be kind of mishmash over there, like you said, the Van Helsing horror maze and so forth. Just kind of, there was no master plan before, and they really kind of develop one for this park, and we'll continue to build on that in the coming days. So I think Universal's getting there, but as we're going down to the lower lot past the Simpsons land that's conspicuously absent from the new land listing, right? Very interesting. Right. Well, you see the pretty relatively large sprawling land that is Super Nintendo World down below, and this is kind of when we're living in a post Harry Potter world now, where you have these very immersive lands, right, that are trying to capture your attention. Like I said, or like you said, OG, I do agree with you. That is kind of a magical place, just Harry Potter in general, and it feels very Disneyland-ish. And in the rain, it's
especially
beautiful.
In the rain. In the rain.
In the rain is gorgeous. But then getting down to Super Nintendo World, now Mindy, we were getting down there, and we were thinking about maybe going in at first light, like with everybody else. We thought, well, okay, how many people are actually going to be here? How packed is it going to be? And we were thinking about, we actually got in line to get into the land, but we kind of doubled back and we said, hey, you know what? Everybody's going to try to rush the land in the opening hours. Let's do the entire rest of the park first, and then we will visit with OG and Wizard when they arrive. So how'd you like that whole thing? What do you think the ops were related to that?
So that was incredible. So we got in line and we're like, excuse us. We turned around. We said, no, let's just go, because we ended up walking on Transformers. We walked on Mummy. We could have gotten it off and on, off and on, off and on, off and on. And we were just walking on attractions. Attractions were little waits. Everybody went to, Mario or Nintendo World. And here we are. We're like, okay, let's just come back later. You were spot on with that. I just said, you're my map. Take me where I need to go. I'm not that familiar with Universal, but it was incredible to go with somebody who knows it that well, to just kind of take a newbie through a park. It's kind of weird being the opposite person, because I'm usually at Disney, especially, I'll come with me and But this park, I was able to follow someone and just get the inside ropes and how to do things. And it was incredible to see that. But the line, I was really, really shocked how long it was just to stand by for Mario, like to get into the Mario Land and Nintendo World, how long it was. Because there was a standby. How long do you think that line was, Dre?
Oh, I mean, it was
Maybe 40?
Yeah, I mean,
40
it was
minutes?
pretty thick there. Yeah, maybe about 20, 40 minutes. I'd
Okay.
probably say just to get into the land, and then when you actually got in,
That's
there was a
just
4 hour
to
wait for
get
Super.
in.
Right,
Right.
And then once you got in, there was a 4 hour wait for Mario Kart, which was like, whoa, I mean, people were there.
So
Wow.
we had some like we had a little agenda, a little mission call that once we got in what we were going to do, but just to get in, it was going to take hours. So we're just like, hey, let's go somewhere else. Let's see other things. And the other attractions that we were able to see and do, walk-ons. The park was, yes, we came prepared. We had our ponchos and 6 layers of jackets on and just ready for the day. And it turned out to be one of the best days I've ever had. It was great.
Oh,
Wow. High praise,
that's so
Mindy.
cool.
It was really great.
That's wild. That's
That's
wild.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we woke up that day. You saw the weather report or video earlier, but
Yes.
we were seeing. We had the Weather Channel on because, well, we heard that there might be some showers coming in. So how bad is this going to be? No, it was labeled. I think you mentioned it, Mindy, earlier. An atmospheric river. Is that right?
Yep.
They called it an atmospheric river, and we looked at each other and we're like, what are we doing? But we made the best of it. And I think that was what was so fun. And
Yeah.
going there and experiencing the rain, it really added to the Harry Potter world. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
the rain on the cobblestones at night when we were there, it was empty. There was probably 3 other people there with us, but to see it like glisten, it was just the most epic thing.
I think when we went into Super Nintendo World, and because it was raining so hard, it was pretty empty, the land. I'm actually really thankful my first experience was in the rain, because you can enjoy the land, right? You can walk around freely and you can enjoy it. I think if I would have walked in and it would have been wall-to-wall people and a 4-hour line for this and an hour line for that, I think my perception of the land would have been different. Very positive first impression when I went in there. I thought it looked great. I got to eat crow. I was actually very, very skeptical of the Mario Kart attraction prior to riding it, because it's like, okay, here's a slow moving racing ride. I don't know. This is going to be kind of weird. I got to admit, Universal actually did a very, very good job at simulating speed, especially on the Rainbow Road in the attraction. They did a very good job with that. The AR was a lot cleaner and more cohesive than I was expecting. It's a solid ride. Now, would I say it's an e-ticket? I wouldn't put it in that category. It's not an Indiana Jones adventure or even a Rise of the Resistance, but it is a solid D ticket. I mean, a very solid D ticket. Like, I would put it above like Star Tours. I mean, and that's high praise, Star Tours is a great attraction. So I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I was wrong. But what are your thoughts on it, Dre? Did you really enjoy Mario Kart? Not so much. Where you kind of stand with this?
Well, where do I begin? Look, it's an amazing attraction for the park it's in. I think the park needs kind of more dark ride-like experiences, and this definitely fits that bill. It also doesn't have any kind of interactive experiences, or at least not many to speak of anyway. And so this kind of adds to that. It's a great family attraction. And that is one thing that Universal has been lacking for a long, long time. Yes, it appeals to thrill seekers, teens and so forth, right? But what can families experience actually together? Well, they've started to kind of include that into the design process. So the Despicable Me area, the Secret Life of Pets area, and now this. I think it kind of rounds out that quite nicely, and will continue to do so in the coming years, I think. But Super Nintendo World itself, I mean, Mindy, we walked in there initially earlier in that day, and it was packed. I mean, it was crowded, even with torrential downpours, and so it was like, ooh, this is kind of tight here. Thankfully, it did lighten up considerably by the time you guys arrived, and that made it kind of awesome because we could go on Mario Kart over and over again, which was really cool. But I was taken up. I was really taken by the queue, the quality of it. I thought was extraordinarily good, but the actual interactive portion itself, and I was like, ooh, how is this all going to work out? And I'm glad Mindy was there, because I think you provided a very unique perspective that I wouldn't have otherwise had, just me alone. Mindy, what was your kind of impression of how the mechanics worked and maybe the quality of the attraction itself?
So, as you know, I am the type of person that has to know how it works. Like, if I'm blown away, I stop paying attention to the attraction. I mean, oh, nope, can't do that, like I did on Harry Potter. But this attraction, the queue line is mind blowing. It is up there. Like, you have to go through the queue line. Don't bypass it, first of all. But I will say this. I was really disappointed because here I am, a new person, and trust me, I grew up as a gamer. I was all into playing Super Mario, like the very first ones. That was me as a kid. So I go on this attraction and I didn't even know how to make it work. It wasn't till we were 3/4 of the way through that I understood. I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the turtles, there's the coins. Oh, what is this supposed to do? I was really disappointed that it doesn't tell you more cohesively, I guess, how to play this attraction, because there's one place that's supposed to tell you, and I find that out later, but it doesn't really even explain it. It's just these little cartoons that say what to do, but there's never, like Disney, when they stop you in an attraction room and say,
Right.
this is how it goes, put this on, unless somebody's explaining. I was kind of disappointed with that. And the second time I went on it, I still didn't ever get really high points, but I understood how to play the game a little more. It is mind-blowing how it works. But I would hope that they would explain it a little bit more to people who don't know how to play.
Yeah, I think the only reason I got it like first time around is because Dre explained it to me before we got on. Like, you were telling me in the queue, you got to look down, right?
Because
if it wasn't for that.
What not to do, and that's what we learned. Because the first time it wasn't where I was actually trying to push. I was pushing the hand thing like, is this supposed to work? Like, oh, this is what it does. Nope. It was awful.
Yeah, Ethan, I mean, maybe you could speak on this. Maybe operations regarding that area specifically where they're explaining stuff to you. Maybe that should be handled differently. I don't remember ever stopping in that room and having those things explained to me. What is going on there?
Yeah, see, I remember for all the way back from the soft opening, I was like, man, I think I messaged Dre or both of you. I was like, man, they should have some audio in this pre-show room, because I said, if you're not looking, you don't know what's happening. And I was looking, but I someone also explained it to me. But I was looking, I was like, but then I was still kind of confused, because there's a lot of stuff happening on the screen. I was like, what's happening on? Like, what does this mean? But then it explains, and then I realize it explains it twice. If it doesn't tell you it's doing it a second time, it looks like it's one continuation again. And then it says go, and then that's what's happening. But then sometimes, the first time ever when I was with you guys, when we went at night, the both doors would open and they just kept going. I was like, oh wait, that's the pre-show. They didn't stop us to show you what's going on. Obviously, I knew it was happening, but I was like, wow, I didn't realize they left the doors open and just let everyone go through the pre-show, and there's nobody there. It's very important, because that's the instruction. They just skipped it. Then you really don't know what's going on. So yeah, they should have
Exactly.
and if you have audio, there's not a team member in there explain it. They just stand there. They can explain it. But yeah, always from the very beginning, I was like, man, they should have tell people what's going on, because I feel a lot of people would be very confused on screen. Looks like they still are.
Yeah, because when that first time, if they don't explain it to you, it's no dice.
For real.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But overall, I think the land is really well done. I still contend overall it's in the same category of a Toontown. I wouldn't quite put it in the category of a Wizarding World or a Galaxy's Edge or a
I think so.
Pandora. It's more Toontown than it is one of those, which is not a diss at all. I mean, I love Toontown, you know, but it's more in that category. The attraction is fantastic. So would you guys kind of agree with that assessment with the overall land? Would it be more comparable to a Toontown, or would you say it's on par with like the Wizarding Worlds and the Pandoras?
Go ahead, Mindy. I'll give it to you, and then I have
Yeah, go
some
ahead.
same thoughts.
I think you're correct in that. I would say, you know, Toontown. It's a lot smaller than I had envisioned in my head, but a lot smaller. So when Dre and I first went in, it was packed and it took away from the experience because when Chris went and we all went with, you know, when you guys first saw it, it was a whole different experience seeing it that time. We went through the tube, but here's the difference. You could see the flooring, and the flooring makes such a difference to how the land feels, in my opinion. Because you could see all the little mushrooms. It just made it look bigger. Because when it's packed, all you see is like up above. And to know that there's little things you can go around and hit and, you know, do your power ups and things, but you can go upstairs too on the top of the castle and like look out. It's a really cool place. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and that's an issue for it, because you have an IP that's really popular right now, Nintendo, and then you have a land that's very small. I don't know. What would you say, Dre? About like half the size of Toontown, maybe?
Maybe almost a
third?
third of it. I mean, yeah,
I'd say
I was just about to say by the third. I mean, it's just like it is small. It's mighty though. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff to interact with and so forth.
Absolutely.
Especially if you get a power up band, which is great to see. It's just this land will have problems if capacity isn't regulated in some way. It just will, and that's really kind of unfortunate. Also, too, operations on Mario Kart. You know, they're targeting for 1,300 per hour, but you know, I think the most they got was like 1,000. So if you have a 4-hour line, that's 4,000 people in there. I mean, it's going to be tough. That's a tough thing to overcome. The attraction itself, I didn't extrapolate my thoughts on those, so I'll go for it very briefly. The AR was worked much better than I ever anticipated, and it is a very engaging game. I think some people have said online where it's like that's one of the best interactive experiences I've ever had, and I can see how people can actually get that opinion. It is very fun. There's like a learning curve, but you kind of want to keep investing yourself into it. It's not super easy, but it's also not unbelievably challenging, you know, and it just keeps you kind of coming back for more, which a good Nintendo product should actually do. And so I thought they really hit it out of the park with this kind of new AR concept. But the thing that kind of, you know, that I worry about when it comes to both the land and the attraction is maintenance and upkeep. And we were actually kind of seeing even on that day, you know, kind of mud and dirty shoes be trekked through some of these places that are very bright and very painted environments, right? And it's like, ooh, how is that going to actually hold up there? Hopefully they actually address those things. You have a lot of movement in this land. You have a lot of color in this land. And so, you know, I always kind of like, ooh, it's like, how is this actually going to hold up over the long run? And even with like the attraction itself, you have AR goggles that are attached to the vehicles themselves, and you attach those to the actual visor that they give you beforehand. And I think we were saying that the visor, that the AR goggles, a little bit heavier than you might think, so you really have to kind of secure those. Again, that pre-show video is supposed to do that for you, but when it's not playing, well, that's a problem too. I think Mindy, you had it like come off.
It fell off.
It
fell off when I was riding. Dre looks over and I'm like, am I thinking? Because it had fallen off because you put this little visor on and it clips to your forehead and there's this little notch thing that you're supposed to tighten it down and it sits on your head. And then when you get on the attraction, you've got your little visors that it's kind of weird. It clips on. But what went through my head, it clips onto the little visor you have. But
Mhm.
if you think how much can that take? I mean, Chris, you were saying
Right.
like all that pulling and all that those are wires in there. Like when are those going to be maintained? Are they going to go out quick? I mean,
Well, and even if you see those visors, by the end of the day, they have maybe residue on them. I'll put it that way. But moreover, I saw some kind of flexing in the plastic. You ever see this when you have painted plastic pieces and you kind of flex a little bit and it gets bright? I saw some of that actually happening there. Even at that point, I was like, ooh, how is this actually going to go on? We saw a vehicle that actually had a whole seat that wasn't operable, and they just let that vehicle go, for example. So it is one of those things where it's like, ooh, I hope this all works out okay. Hopefully they get the pre-show kind of working so that people know how to secure that stuff properly. I would recommend as soon as you sit down, as soon as you get that visor on, just hitting that just one more notch, just to keep it secure. But if these things kind of keep falling off and so forth, I do wonder about the upkeep.
Yeah. The upkeep's concerning because, like you say, Dre, you're seeing evidence of wear and tear, and it hasn't really been open that long. So,
exactly.
right, what's it
Yeah.
going to be in a year from now? What's it going to be in 5 years from now? So that's a concern. Now, I am optimistic in the sense that Nintendo is very particular with quality.
Oh yes.
And I'm sure in that licensing agreement, there is something in there where Nintendo officials probably come and inspect the land every so often, and they want to maintain that quality, much like J.K. Rowling does with the Wizarding World properties at these theme parks.
And much like Disney does with Marvel over there in IOA, they come in there with every once in a while, they check on everything, and if anything's wrong, then they can actually renege on that contract. It's very interesting. But go ahead, OG.
Yeah, no. So that's concerning to me because it's not so much that lands get wear and tear. Every land will have wear and tear, but to see evidence of that so soon,
that was
I
surprising.
think that is of concern. And I think Universal should definitely look into maybe using different materials or what have you to maybe so it can last a little bit longer. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Now, Wizard, have you? Go ahead.
Oh, so sorry. I was just saying real quick. I also noticed at the end of the attraction, once you get off, how militant they are about getting those visors back. There's somebody who stands there, a team member, and literally takes them from you. It's not like at Disneyland where you get off Star Tours and you just throw it in a bucket. They do not let you walk by until you give them your visor. They're just very like, we want it back. I don't know if what they're doing with those, but
thing, because they used to be they used to let me throw it, but someone stole one of them actually. And so,
oh my god!
Now then it ends up on eBay because it's the new attraction. I don't know, but it was interesting to me. That's all that person's doing today is literally taking back visors. It just kind of was a little eye opening.
Yeah, well, and those visors have weight to them. And there's probably a lot of technology in those visors, so I'm sure they're
down.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not cheap to replace. So they're really like those cheap little 3D glasses you used to get for like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. They make those for pennies on the dollar, no big deal, right? But those visors you have on Mario Kart are substantial pieces of equipment.
That
sure,
makes
it's not
sense.
cheap to replace. Yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, it's one of those things where you don't want it. You don't want to leave in your hands, let's say, and then you're down one less visor. That can add up very, very quickly. I totally get it, Wizard. But in terms of operations of the actual land itself, have you seen those things improved? Have you seen because sorry,
because I didn't get to answer OG's question on my level of Wizarding World and on the other ones.
Okay. Please, Wizard, go ahead. Backtracking. Let's get your answers. I do apologize.
So do I think you said it was about what level they put on? Now, see, I base lands on how long I can stay there and what I can do. Also, how good they look. Now, with Wizarding World looks fantastic. Galaxy's Edge looks fantastic. But I can find myself besides the rides, and except for the Wizarding World, the spells, in and out of those places, right? I've never, ever multiple days, especially in the rain one day. Stayed all day in a land, 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on a rainy Saturday. Just moseying around with my friend, by myself actually, and I met up with a friend at Super Nintendo World. There's so much, if you have a power band, so much unlocked potential, and for that reason, I put it above Wizarding World, above Star Wars, above Cars Land. It's my favorite land ever, simply because if I can actually literally, and I have multiple days stay there, open to close or all day long, and not get bored and still don't want to leave. And those other places, they look great, but like I can't stay in Galaxy's Edge all day
Mm.
unless you spend $200 to buy a lightsaber or something,
Mhm.
and I can't stay in Wizarding World all day because there's only a certain amount of spells you can do, and it's just the same ones over and over again.
Mm.
But this one, there's all these achievements. There's 128 achievements I can do, and on this app, just for one thing, and I can go over and over, and they're repeatable, and I'm very competitive, so I like to try to get above the leaderboards against other people, and that just keeps me in there all day long. And there's no other place in the world I can do that, and that's why
That's
Nintendo
fa-
is my number one.
that's fantastic. And it really does boil down to like people's like park habits. Like for me personally, the reason why I prefer Disney so much is because I'm very much an atmosphere kind of guy, right? Like I can go to Disneyland and not ride a single thing, sit on a bench and just soak it all in. And I'm cool with that.
You
Right. So for me, something like Wizarding World, I could probably spend all day there. I can sit on a bench somewhere, have some
Mhm.
butterbeer and kick it. That's right up my alley. Right.
Mhm.
So it really depends on your kind of park going experience. Mindy, where are you at with this? Like, could you spend all day at Nintendo World or maybe
I
not?
don't think so, but I can see why Ethan would. My
Ooh,
son would
yeah.
love it. I just don't see myself spending all day there. Like Harry Potter, that land. Oh yeah, I could stay there all day. It's kind of more tailored to who you are as a person. Like what do you
Mhm.
so Ethan, when you go there and you stay there all day, what are you doing? Because we went and
Okay.
ate. We ate at is it Toadstool Cafe, right?
That's correct.
Toadstool was amazing. The
Mhm.
theming and the service
Service.
better than Disney that I've experienced in a very long time. And I'm
It was
sure we'll
great.
touch base on that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
Superb.
sorry.
But how do you what would you do? I couldn't stay
So
there all day.
during the soft open days, it's funny because I was there, and then I was telling them, kept seeing the same YouTubers like 5 days in a row, same YouTubers over and over. Every time I popped in there, I didn't plan; they just were there. And they were there the whole time too. It's crazy. What was I doing? Let's see. By the way, none of those times I ate at Toadstool. Oh, two of them, but I rarely did I even eat anything. I was there with my power band, hitting the blocks. Sometimes I just spend like 30 minutes people watching. Wow, it was incredible. You sit down, and know why? Because the land is filled with music. I love Latin music. It's addicting to me. I can sit there all day and just listen to that. They have different music from different games, just all in this section right here. Then you just single out a Mario Kart and try to get the highest score. You play the games over and over, Bowser Jr. over and over. You try to get all the achievements in the app. You find their secret levels in those goggles. If you keep looking around, those AR goggles, it takes you different, like Super Mario Galaxy, and you climb up the beanstalk, and then you go up, and there's secret blocks you can find throughout the land. There's so many different hidden things when you unlock the full potential. Oh, and the games have hard mode and bonus. You can get a bonus if you just finish it within a certain amount of time.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, you keep playing them so you can get the bonuses and get all the points. And you blink, and then it's time to go home. It's bar
So
closed.
so you
Incredible.
feel like that's more entertaining and interactive because I believe that from what I can tell that Star Wars Disney tried to do that with Star Wars Land. Really tried to get you, oh, go on your phone, you can play these hidden games, you can do all these things. I did it and I was like one and done. I don't want to do it
Yeah.
again.
Well, see,
Like
that's
that was
the
cool
that
to
that way.
experience.
That's like was that with the magic band or something? That's a little different because you like have to use your phone. But this one, you don't
Right.
have to use your phone. You just have the little band, and then you go boom boom, and then there's screens. So if you want to see your score, you can just tap the screen and the land. And I don't know, it just seems more fun than the
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge stuff. And the mission, I don't know what the mission in Galaxy's Edge is, but the games here are pretty fun. The Galaxy's Edge doesn't seem too fun, the bounty hunter
That's what
thing.
that's what I'm getting at. Like, it doesn't seem as high level or high tech that Universal brought to Mario Land. Like, I think they just said, you know what, let's double down and make it right, because I believe that's what they were trying to make Star Wars Land do, is be so interactive that that's what people would go there to do. I see nobody walking around playing those games and being interactive anymore. But at Mario Land, they were everywhere, you know, getting their star ups, getting all their coins, running around, maybe because it's new, but I think it's just going to continue. You know, I just do.
You also have a physical level of play. You know, it's not just in the phone. It's you can actually see these things. You know?
I came out of 2 of those games huffing and puffing, and I was like, wow.
Right. There's the one where you have the what is it, attacking piranha plant, right? And you have to like keep it to sleep, and so you have to hit the clocks and so forth, and like that kind of stuff. They just don't have at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It feels very tacked on, last minute. That there was supposed to be a level of gameplay there, but they just never got there. Whereas I think that was intrinsic to Super Nintendo World's design from the outset, because they're a video game company. People expect to be able to interact with these worlds and play in them, and I think that was really kind of pushed to the forefront, and I think that's why somebody like Wizard really gets so much enjoyment out of it, because that was a foundational principle for the land just from jump.
Yeah. Now I will say, if Galaxy's Edge adds like a whole bunch of games and the droids that they said they would, then I can say that all day too. But
there you go.
Just like put it there first.
Come on, Bruce Vaughn, make moves.
Come on, Bruce.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing, and this is my opinion for both companies, right? Whether it's Disney or Universal, I'm not a huge fan of interactive, and the reason why I'm not is because most of the time these companies put this interactive stuff in there
and then breaks, and they never fix it.
Right, Ethan, you got it. That's exactly why.
I'm hoping, like you said, like with Nintendo watching, and that's like such an integral part of the land. I feel like these
yeah, and you have right, and you have Nintendo breathing over your neck, so over your shoulder, so they're more inclined to keep that stuff operating, and I hope they do.
In fact, the Piranha Plant napping mishap game, I've seen actually of all the games, this is the only one I've seen broken like quite often. The other ones I have never seen broken, but I do see it fixed within 2 hours, or up and running within an hour later, which is good.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear.
Very good.
Hopefully they upkeep that.
Yes, that's the big concern with this land, is that the upkeep between the interactivity and the paint schemes and all that stuff. There's a lot to maintain.
Right, because I heard you say after we got off the attraction, we go on a rainy day, you guys. First of all, before I say this, because we got on that ride 3 times in a row and there was no wait. But you had said something, and it kind of was like, he's right. You were talking about, we got off, and you said, how are they going to do this? Nintendo, are they going to come in and do this upkeep all the time? Because they can't let it fail. They can't let it, that was a bad experience. They have to have it up here, because if it falls and you get on this attraction and it doesn't work, that just makes Nintendo and Universal look really, really bad.
Yeah, you got to maintain it. That's the big concern. Now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about Toadstool Cafe, the big eatery restaurant. This was an interesting experience because it's sort of like a walk-up service, like hybrid with like a dining experience, right? Like you go up,
like counter service meets table service.
Great way of putting it, Dre. Great way of putting it. And it's interesting. I really, really loved the team members. Shout out to all the team members. I wish I could remember the gentleman's name who rang us up, but he was so great. Such a nice guy, right? And really great customer service. They all were. They were fantastic. The theming in there is really well done. It's very immersive.
The costumes, super good, right?
Super good.
They're missing just the little mustache, and it would have been top notch.
Yes, and it was great. I only have 2 criticisms of Toadstool Cafe. Only 2. Number one, those booths are really tight. I'm a pretty
Yeah, we're in a little love seat, OG. I hope
No?
Sandy's not too mad.
I didn't expect to be that close with my friends that day. You know, we just made it work there.
It was really tight, and the table comes in really tight too. Like you really have to like get in there. So that's the thing. I was like, okay.
Imagine if someone's like large, like actually like large. Oh
Yeah.
wow! Look at that. I guess Universal doesn't even with their food. They don't like
Right. You know, it's wild.
He's, Mindy, we were talking about Secret Life of Pets, where it's like, they staple you into that slow moving attraction.
Like, we talked about this. Yeah, we had that conversation.
It's so funny. Dre and I were in a Secret Life of Pets vehicle together, right? And we had the bar all the way down. The guy comes up and he looks at it and he goes, even further. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like I have a little bit of a gap there. It's if anybody's been on what is it, Mummy, it's kind of a similar kind of situation there, but Mummy, you can leave yourself a little bit of room there, at least get that hang time there. No, for Secret Life of Pets, this slow moving omnimover, it's like, ooh, little space, click. And that happened again when I was there with Mindy.
It's something about you, because I can have this room and they don't do anything to me. They look at Dre and it's like, he goes, I keep getting stapled into this thing. I am really disappointed because I know that was a big controversy and I hadn't been on it. The animatronics are jaw-dropping. Thank you to our wonderful friend. Garner Holt did all of those. But I was taken aback. We were in the queue line and I was just blown away. The queue line, you cannot skip it. I think it's almost as good as the attraction. So we get on, and before we got on, we were talking about this. Like, he goes, no, it's small. Like, it's really small. And I'm thinking, okay, it can't be that small. And I'm not a big person. Like, I'm not huge, but I'm not little tiny either. But I go sit down and I was like, oh my gosh, what do people have to be 100 pounds to fit in this thing? Like, it's pretty tight. It's tight. To have this little thing between your legs too, like, you have no movement. They really could have made it like the big Thunder Mountain Railroad cart, so where you could slide, which I understand they don't want people to get out, but it goes two seconds an hour. It's not even like it's slow.
Yeah, it could have been like Haunted Mansion. Then you can actually put more. You can put 3 people versus 2. Means your lines goes faster because that line is awful.
Yeah,
but it was a good attraction.
Right.
The other second criticism I have of Toadstool Cafe is when you're walking in, the screen window, you're a little too close to it for it to be believable. It's television at that point, That's another thing. Yeah, that looked just like a big screen with window things over it, because
TV from Best Buy.
Yeah, because you're so close to it, so there's not that element of illusion. But other than that, Toadstool Cafe was absolutely beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I love the food. I got the Luigi.
Anna, tell them what you got from there. A sipper.
I got a sipper, and I got the Luigi chicken sandwich, which was off the chain. It was really spicy. It was great. Dre shared it with me. It was fantastic. What were your overall thoughts of the food and the experience for Toadstool? Like, just off the bat.
I think I got the tiramisu. I think Mindy got the cupcake, and I believe Wizard got the
short rib.
Short rib. Yep, there you go. I was
we shared the garlic knots.
Yes, shared the garlic knots. Everything was good. And look, the restaurant is very, very well themed. There are like some nitpicks, like you said, OG, the TVs, you can see kind of the edges, you can see kind of the borders there. Notice that too. Also, some of the lights, it's like, ooh, You can see the individual LED sometimes. It's like, that always drives me nuts because I'm a lighting guy, a little bit, aspiring, I guess. But I was like, oh, you could have frosted that over a little bit. You could have diffused that a little bit more. So that was a little bit unfortunate. But to me, the food was very, very good. It's just everything was a little bit overpriced. Everything just a little bit higher than maybe it should be. And
My
so that was
cupcake
my
was $10.
$10. $10 for a cupcake. $10 a
Let's
tiramisu.
go get that money out of you.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's right.
I know.
All the
Oh, wait a
dessert
second. I
stuff
thought that was
$10.
Chapek's
They were
job.
$10.
All the desserts were $10. And I apologized earlier for going off on a tangent on Life of Pets. We were talking about
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, I was surprised how Dre, I agree. I was surprised how expensive everything was in there. It's good. It's great. But they flash, and it's smart that they flash like you're in line and they put the menus on the wall and show you the pictures of them. Very, very, it's very realistic what you get. It's not like you go to McDonald's and your hamburger looks like nothing on the board.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Look like the picture.
Very, very much like the picture.
And Mindy, you never have to apologize for going on a tangent about that Secret Life of Pets ride because I love that ride.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I love that ride.
The pricing, that's kind of a theme, you'd say throughout the whole land, don't you think? Right, the popcorn bucket 40 and 47, right? Versus the usual universal popcorn is like 25, 30.
The popcorn bucket's $47.
Yeah, the Mario
47?
Kart one. 4.7 after tax. The Mario Kart one.
Wow.
The other one is like 45. But I don't know if it's high price because it's new and I'm just gonna buy it, or they have to split the money with Nintendo or something. I don't know.
That.
But, and so maybe that's why. But
That's a lot.
It still seems to be people. I still see a lot of them. So I guess it's not too high for some people. I was like, that's a lot of money. But at least they light up and they're huge, which is good.
I prefer that stuff to be a little bit, reduced. The popcorn buckets, can we make them 29? The power-up band, can we make that 19? That kind of thing. I would have that personal preference. I understand. Ethan makes a great point here, by the way. Probably have to share that revenue between two companies. Right. I get it. There's a little bit of an uptick for that, but again, it's. Wizard makes a great point. It's kind of an overarching theme for the entire land. Everything's just a little bit too high.
Well, and that's one of the big criticisms I've had overall with Universal is that they like to rent, and they don't own a lot. And what I mean by that is they're licensing out everything, but they don't have a lot of their own in-house IP, right? And with
Warner Brothers Discovery.
Exactly.
Right. So with renting, that's one of the big issues is that you have to do that, right? And they also have to be really careful because one of the attractive qualities right now with Universal is that they provide a really good product and they're cheaper than Disney. You don't want to get to a point where you're on par with them or even surpassing them in the price arena, because once you do that, then you might as well just go to Disney at that point because they have more, you know what I'm saying? So Universal has to stay competitive and keep those prices low, in my opinion, if they want to maintain gaining that market share.
Which is weird because like Harry Potter, for example, the stuff I find there, I find really well made and really well priced. Even like our lunch that we had that day, Mindy, I thought, hey, like, good, right? It was awesome. The ribs and everything, the corn.
Good. Now that was priced right.
Yes.
The restaurant itself, mind-blowing.
It's beautiful.
You literally walk into the film. You are sitting in the film. It's incredible. And get the warm butterbeer. Get the hot chocolate butterbeer because it is so good.
It's fantastic. Butterbeer is awesome. And even though it's like $8 a pop, totally worth it. You gotta lay that money down. It's awesome, right?
See, now if you compare that, if you compare that to Toadstool, like $8 for a warm butterbeer, that was worth it. $9.99 for a pink overfilled
frosted cake
cupcake was a little overkill, but their prices in there were really good.
Yeah, no, Wizarding World is really one of my favorite things about that park. It's very comfortable. It feels very Disney. It's the butterbeer, the atmosphere. It's everything. It just hits. I'm not a big fan of Forbidden Journey. I like the attraction. I'm just a weirdo. I'm claustrophobic, so that's why I don't like to go on it.
But
But
you
it is a
like the
quality.
line.
Especially
You
with
like
the
the
Yes.
line.
bad
So you
luck
even
Yes.
walk through the
guy.
line. You even
Right.
walk through the line just to experience it because it's so good.
Oh,
I
it's beautiful. I
noticed
love it.
that. I was like, oh, where are they going? Oh, they're doing the line. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the line is beautiful with the moving pictures on the wall and everything. It's a great experience. Go ahead, Dre.
The queue is absolutely incredible, and Mindy was blown away when she wrote it, because she was like, I have to figure this out. It's one of those things where it's like, I couldn't even, she was telling me she couldn't even focus on the attraction because of just the technological, just a radical nature of it. It was
Right.
a lot to take in. Mindy, your experience there.
Oh my gosh. So you get in, and I don't have a clue what to expect. Usually I'm the one that watches the video on YouTube before you even go. I didn't do that. So I didn't know what I was to expect at all. So we get in, and it literally feels like you start floating right off the bat. And I'm like, what is happening? It wasn't until like I was already mind blown at that point, but the second we got into, so I know it's like, it's a constantly moving attraction. But when you got into the film and you're in this film, I stopped watching it, and I was like, I looked down and I'm like, how is this happening? What is happening? Did we stop? And I was like, no, we didn't stop. How are we moving? How are we watching this film? And I had to tell myself, and I kept looking forward, and I had to remind myself, no, Dre will tell me, just sit back and enjoy the attraction, because I could not figure out it. I was pulled away so overwhelmed and like trying to figure out how it worked that I had to tell myself, no, watch it, just enjoy it. So I'm glad we went on it again, Dre, because the second time I was able just to sit back because you showed me, and I
Right.
was like, oh, okay. The attraction is the best attraction I've ever been on in my life, ever. Any Disney
Wild.
attraction, that is the coolest ride I've ever been on. The best, hands down.
That's cool. That's cool. That's
cool.
very, very cool. Wow.
It is a feat of technological engineering even today, and Disney had that ride system. They had it. It was right there. And then Universal got the exclusive rights to it for 10 years. We'll see if they incorporate it in maybe other attractions coming up. We'll see. But I think it's still a great ride system or conveyance to use. And from what I understand, that is the highest capacity attraction in Southern California at this point. That's what I was quoted. So
Wow.
it
did get stuck. It did get stuck while we were on it.
Every time Dre goes on that thing,
And I didn't
except for that
understand.
time,
We were in a spot right when it starts, and you kind of float up, and we just leaned back. So we were at this like when you get into a recliner and you just kind of lay back. That's
Right.
what we were experiencing. And Trace and this other guy goes, "Oh, I hope that. What about the people in the whimpering willows? Is that what it's called?" And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, they're upside down. I'm like, wait, what?
That's why I don't go on that ride, because I got stuck on it on that part. And the way those vehicles are, they're very claustrophobic because they cram you in, and then you got like those side panels. So when you're on your back, you sink all the way into those things. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It really makes me anxious. But it's a great attraction. I just wish the vehicles weren't so like, oh my God,
Yeah.
But it's beautiful and it's cool technology, but Universal, they really buckle you in, so
And they cut off your
I
vision
did think of
specifically.
that. They do. So I did think of that. I thought of you when I was writing it, when you guys went through the queue line. You said, it's hard for me. I'm claustrophobic. So when I sat back, I kind of thought of you, and I was like, I could see why, because they want to cut off your peripheral vision. So you don't see. It's kind of like they shortened down what Bob Gurr invented as far as, the doom buggy attractions for the Omnimover.
Right.
They're cutting that down to where this is all you see and you're on your broom. Like that's what they want you to do, is be on your broom and be like, that's it. That's all you see. but I could see how you'd get anxious. So if you guys are claustrophobic, that might not be the best attraction for you.
Yeah, it gets my heart going.
It's
That one,
pretty
that one's a
tight.
rough. It's tight. That one's a rough one. That one is a rough one.
Luckily,
Now, OG,
OG, you should be able to go on the monsters one quite nicely, as those flaps will be disappeared from you.
Good. Go ahead, Ray.
This time there'll be animatronics surrounding you 360 degrees, so you'll be able to see. They want you to see everything.
yeah,
That's
monsters. That'll be. So, Mindy, if you haven't heard, as part of this new theme park enterprise that they're building with Epic Universe in Florida, they will have a kind of a monsters ride, which will feature the same ride system, but actually go through the classic monsters verse. So you get to see Frankenstein, Mummy, what is it? I'm sure some others featured in their Dracula, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll feature that same ride system. So we're all kind of wondering, ooh, what does this version 2 of this look like, especially more than 10 years removed from the first one? That's going to be very interesting to see. But OG, before we move on to maybe
say? You were going to say something.
Right. And
okay.
I have maintained that. Don't worry, Mindy, I got you. Before we move on to the future of Universal Studios Hollywood, because that's a very interesting discussion.
Yes, it is.
It was the first time going on Jurassic World.
Oh yeah, it was my first time going on Jurassic World since they redid it. I've been on Jurassic Park. I haven't been on Jurassic World. Now I want to share this photo real quick.
Share it.
Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and share it. Give me one
Share
moment.
the Jurassic.
Give me 1 second. This is interesting, you guys, because this is all new from the redo. And this is from Peter Soretta from Ordinary Adventures. Now, this is when you first get on, and this is like the first thing you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed by this effect. These are screens, but they're supposed to be like water tanks where these dino sharks basically live.
Right.
And they swim around in these tanks and they splash over the edge. I thought that was a really, really cool effect. You can see here, I mean, this is dope. This looks so cool. And we went on it at night in the rain, and it just added to that Jurassic World energy. Oh my God. It was great.
Now,
they did,
is that daytime right there? Is it
it's probably nighttime because you're inside, but you could still see between the beginning and the end. But it's realistic. Like I was pretty blown away how realistic
when you
you
went on it at night, did it look like it was the screen in the daytime or the nighttime?
It was hard to determine that, but there was kind of a moonlit quality about it a little bit.
Okay, yeah, because I know those screens or the radar before they're supposed to change daytime and nighttime.
Oh,
and then they want to see what if it's raining, it's supposed to rain, it's supposed to change with the weather effect. So that's why I was curious if that was working.
I didn't notice, Ethan. I didn't notice it change.
Interesting.
Yeah. Overall, the redo, though, looks phenomenal. They've enclosed more of this attraction. A lot of this attraction before was outside, which was fine. But because more of it is enclosed now, they can really control the show.
So was that part not on the original attraction? Because this was my first time on this ride at all. I've never seen
this part used to be two gates and said Jurassic Park, and opened and welcome to Jurassic Park, and there'd be a big Bronchiosaurus right there.
Bronchiosaurus comes up, and
it was all outside though. It was all outside. This is a much more, in my opinion, much more impressive effect with it all enclosed, and those tanks are just really, really awesome.
And you don't see the structures on the upper lot anymore. This obfuscates them as well, and so it's a little bit more immersive in that end.
So you could see the walkways from where it used to be.
Yeah,
so this kind of cuts. Maybe that's why, because they cut off. Disney's pretty good at that of not being able to see attractions.
The sight lines.
The sight lines to cut that. I mean, it's realistic.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I think that I have my personal preference, but this effect is very, very good. And because you have that depth with those screens and they're presented in that way, it's a much more convincing effect than maybe, Toadstool, as we first talked about. But
yes.
Oh, go
So,
ahead.
Chris, you like this
Oh, no, you're right.
more? You like
Oh,
this more, Chris?
absolutely. Oh, this
Okay,
is a huge improvement to
got
the
it.
Jurassic Park attraction. This is much more immersive. They've closed more of it in so they can control the show better. Oh, it's a million times improved. I absolutely loved it. Go ahead, Ray. I do apologize, sir.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But what about the final two dinosaurs there? Right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. The
Yes.
scale
No,
there
that
is
Right
wild.
above your head.
and they're fighting, right? And they kind of fight, and then you go drop. Oh, it's great. It really is a fantastic attraction. I love what they did with it. After we got off, I turned to Dre. I'm like, this is fantastic. They did a great job. It was actually a lot more extensive than I thought it was going to be. I thought going into it that water tank thing was the only thing really new. I didn't know like the rest of it was like all of it looked pretty new. It was like, wow, they redid the whole
Yeah,
thing.
they put a
So, I was pretty
gyrosphere in
impressed.
there. Added a couple of Indominus. Added blue too. I love me some blue.
Blue
Now,
the
we
raptor
went-
wasn't working, unfortunately.
Well, we went in the
Oh no!
well, we went in
Yeah.
the rain. Yes, we were wet, but in my opinion, I think we got wetter on the attraction than we did going down the drop. Like it gets you
Yeah,
wet.
I
from
always,
the
I
water
always get
spilling
the, I always
over.
get the, I get the most wet on the tank when the
Yeah, that's what I was
Well,
saying.
I
The
think
tank
Mosasaurus.
gets you.
yeah, and then I get the most wet on that little small drop at the top of the
Yeah.
lift till that first
But the
one.
big
because-
gets you, and maybe they turned the water down. I don't know how that works, but
We'll
I
see
didn't-
on Jurassic Park, the original one, they used to have you can still see them, these massive water cannons that go boom, boom, boom,
Right.
boom.
Yeah.
When you come out. Now get you soaked. But with ever since the reader, they turned those off. And,
Okay.
well, yeah. But
Yeah.
that was
We got pretty wet there. Just it's the unload because we were stuck at
Right.
unload for a little bit,
Yeah.
but we hadn't unloaded and it was raining on us, and it was just like okay, like we're now getting soaked now. So yes, to that point, Mindy, you definitely got wetter on other parts of the attraction than maybe what was originally intended by the creators of the attraction at first iteration.
Got
Yep,
it.
100%. Now let's talk about the future of Universal Hollywood. Friend of the channel.
It's going bankrupt.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that? So the future of Universal Hollywood. So a friend of the channel, Universal Core, really great source of Universal scoops and what have you. He dropped this news that they're going to completely rebrand this park. They're changing the name, Universal Hollywood Resort. They're adding 2 Universal hotels, the Aventura Hotel, which is currently in Orlando, and an unnamed hotel as well. I'm gonna go ahead and share your screen, Dre, so we can kind of break it down from the sky.
From the sky, exactly.
There we go.
So here, I mean, if you don't quite know what you're looking at, it's okay. Here's the entrance portal right here where this pop-up is. You can kind of see the adjacent parking lot to it. You can see Waterworld right here. You can see the tram tour right here. And then you can see the escalators to the lower lot, just around Simpsons Land, Jurassic World, what we were talking about, Panda Express, and Super Nintendo World. But what we're hearing is they and Mindy, we had this conversation as we were leaving. We were saying, you asked me, it's like, does Universal have any hotels on property? And I'm like, no, they actually don't. And there had been plans to put hotels on property going back for maybe decades at this point, but nothing had actually come to fruition. The closest they ever got was, I believe, in preparation for the Wizarding World back in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. There were plans to build a hotel, and that just never got off the ground. But from what we're hearing, there might be as many as 2 hotels that actually get built. One nearest the entrance. You see where this pop-up is right here. Just below that pop-up is where one of the hotels is actually envisioned. And I guess that would be like a sort of like an entranceway hotel where you would actually pass underneath it to actually get into the park, Wizard, if I'm not mistaken there.
Yeah, like a front gate type of hotel.
Right.
It's gonna be right over to pass into the globe, right there with some shops on the ground floor.
And then you can see right here, just beneath where this pop-up is actually popping up right now on your screen, at the corner of like Kirk Douglas Drive and Tony Curtis Drive right there. I think John Williams or Universal Studios Avenue is right there. You'd have another hotel, and that would be the Aventura, the more value-oriented hotel, if I'm not mistaken, which is a lot, especially for a resort that, well, a park that's never had a resort hotel before. But we're also talking about a plethora of e-tickets being added as well. But first, I want to start off and say, hey, going from a park to resort, good move, bad move? What do you guys think?
If they did add a hotel, I'd be really excited. I think it'd be great.
Yes. Go ahead, OG, you were saying? OG?
Yeah. Oh,
are you frozen?
I do apologize. I'm getting a little interference on my end. Go ahead and continue. I'll be right back. You guys go ahead and continue. I'll be right back.
I'll talk. I just think, we were talking about the hotels, like where would they put it? And we know the golf course is out. So it's like, where are they going to put this hotel? But for someone who, like me, was never gone, or I would have stayed at their resort. I would have been like, yeah, let's do it all inclusive and make it to where there was a package deal, like stay in our hotel, get an hour early, or get $10 off, or here's a gift card, something that would entice you to stay there so you get these perks. I can tell you that Universal is really good at giving perks to their guests. They like to, as in their lightning lane or whatever it's called, but it's a great add-on. That benefit outweighs everything just to have that, but those extra perks make a big deal. So to have a resort, can you imagine what their perks would be? Like, stay with us, here's your free, what's it called there if it's not a lightning lane, like here's your free pass, express pass, or what, that would be a big deal, like stay at a resort. So I think they should make it work. It does in Florida. They need to make it work in California.
Well, yeah, 100%, Mindy, and they should definitely. This is definitely a move by Universal to kind of get that tourist money, and I think it's a smart decision. You add those hotels, you expand the theme park, and all of a sudden now you got a lot more people coming in from all over to experience this place. Correct. And this is what I've been kind of advocating a lot for when it comes to Disneyland Resort, is focus on that tourism dollars. Focus on the tourists and try to make it more of a worldwide destination as opposed to just a hangout for locals. And it seems like Universal is pushing in that direction. It's a smart move.
This is the concept of one of these hotels. This would be the entrance hotel here from Universal Beijing, actually. It would be taking off that design element. This comes to us via Disney Parks Attic, and you can actually see what kind of motif they might go with. It's very complementary to what they actually have today.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. This is what we're supposed to get in the entrance?
This is the
entrance hotel.
This would be the entrance hotel, right? And you can see the design elements, the motifs, and so forth. It's very, it evokes Hollywood, just a kind of an old school, maybe 1930s Hollywood, right off the bat. So. And that would complement, I think, the entrance portal beautifully as it exists today in Hollywood.
Oh, this is gorgeous.
It's very reminiscent of Hollywood Boulevard. It really does. I love it. It's that 1930s, 1940s feel. It's gorgeous. It says "Welcome to LA." I think it's beautiful.
And you can see this entrance portal right here. You see where the guests are actually ushering in. That would be the entrance to the theme park. So this would actually double as the entrance to Universal Studios Hollywood, not too dissimilarly as it exists in Beijing.
Very cool.
It is. It kind of evokes a Disneyland Paris, Disneyland Hotel kind of atmosphere. You can see the kind of styling for this country that it's currently in Beijing, China. But there are other design elements too, which I think are pretty cool, and I think would complement what currently exists there today. And so it's really kind of it's exciting to kind of hear that at this park that we all kind of love is now maybe on the precipice of actually turning into a theme park resort. which is absolutely fantastic.
And I
if you
think it's
haven't- oh, go ahead.
real quick. I'm so sorry, Jerry, but I do think it's also necessary when you're competing with your biggest competitor is Disneyland Resort. Right now, Disneyland Resort has two theme parks and 3 resort hotels and a shopping district. Universal, it's kind of a half-day park right now. They got to step up, make it more of a resort, add a bigger footprint for their theme park, and I think they could be much more competitive than they are right now in California, because they're very competitive in Orlando. But in California, not as much. This is going to step it up quite a bit, which is great.
It would change everything. It would make me
Yeah.
want to go, hey, we could stay 2 days here. Because City Walk, I was blown away how big it was. Like, really blown away. I'd never been there. So
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic to see this, and coming from somebody who understands like Disney and how it works. I think they need to get a resort there ASAP. That was the first thing I thought, like, because we stayed pretty far away, and it was like, man, if they had a resort, that would be so nice, just to walk downstairs and go to the park.
Yeah.
And the hotels around Universal, they're questionable. They're a little, I don't know. You know,
The one we
dicey.
stayed at. I'm so sorry, Dre. Anything less, I think I would have picked up our car and been like, "We're gonna go stay somewhere else." So it was okay.
Yeah. If you want
I
to walk,
slept with one eye open.
Yeah.
the hotels around Universal, you're going to walk to the park, you're going to pass like the Frisky Kitty. There's some gunshot holes in the walls. You know,
No,
it's not the greatest.
When we were leaving, somebody was hotboxing the room next to us. We
Oh,
could
yeah.
smell it. It was like, whoa, okay.
You could smell it in our room. We're like, okay, we gotta go.
That's hilarious.
We gotta go. So to stay on property, that would be something truly special. Hopefully,
Yeah.
the price point is not crazy. And maybe the Aventura Hotel could provide that. We will see. We're just going to do like a mid-century modern hotel. But the other great prospect about turning this into a resort is, well, I mean, Core. I don't want to tell you specifically what he said, but he intimated, hey, there's, I mean, as many as like half a dozen, maybe more e-tickets for the next like 5 years or something. Right. And that's like kind of mind-blowing, because the park as it exists today is kind of a small footprint. You kind of imagine like in your head, like, where would these things go? Apparently the studio tour would be shortened just a little bit. And that space dedicated towards more attractions. Diagon Alley, for example, from Universal Studios in Orlando. Obviously Donkey Kong is being talked about. It would be an opening day attraction at Epic Universe, but if we get it here, that would be cool, with its amazing coaster that has like a false track in which you kind of like jump the track, even though there's a real track underneath. That would be cool. The Monsters, from what we understand, is being talked about to come here. So this has, I mean, the future is very, very bright for this, little studio park.
Well, and they're kind of telegraphing to everybody the direction of where they want to go. Because, like, you mentioned, Core was saying that the tram tour is going to be very much mitigated. It's obvious that would happen, because when you change the name to Universal Hollywood Resort, you're eliminating the studio, right? You're eliminating that element of it. You're minimizing it now, and you're focusing more on the theme park, and that makes sense too, because you can offload a lot of studio stuff off property. You don't necessarily need to be on that hill with those giant sound stages. You can put a sound stage anywhere in California, right? It's more important to have that theme park space, because that's not as easy to like move.
Yes.
Very, very difficult, obviously. So it's much better. It's much smarter for them to work with that land for the theme park, put those warehouses and sound stages maybe a little bit further out, or wherever they got to put them. It just makes a whole lot of sense. It really, really does.
Wizard, your opinion on all this?
My goodness, I think it's fantastic. That's right. I brought Mickey into this. But yeah, I mean, got two hotels, each approved for up to 500 rooms. If I had to be a betting man, I'd say the entrance one would come first, just because it looks nicer. I mean, it would be a nice entrance statement. And then the other one's kind of in the back, but it would be like a nice grand opening thing. Um, Something tells me in 2026, but don't listen to me or listen to me. I don't know, but there's that. We got Fast and Furious starting demolition this month. I mean, right now,
Ooh,
really heavy demolition at the end of the month, with production
really?
central closing in early April. We got the animal actors coming back, right, in a new stage show. They didn't say it, but they kind of said it on the website there. On and the Universal Plaza on that's massive multi-month renovation opening up back up in May, and then lots of great stuff. Springfield Mummy got left out of the website, and I
Wonder
asked
why.
Universal and they didn't respond, but
There you
but they
go.
got
Yeah.
out with
So
Panda Express. And then you got a Transformers land that includes Studio Scoop. So like, what's happening? I don't know, but that's great stuff.
yeah, sometimes the silence says a lot, right? When they're
It
silent
does.
on the Mummy and the Simpsons, and you know what's going on.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, the Fast and
We,
Furious concept art itself has the part of Springfield as generic stores in the concept art. So we shall see.
let me see if I can actually find
Interesting.
that Fast and Furious concept art for Mindy, because I think that would be very, very
Oh,
interesting.
Yeah.
well, while you
It's very
find that, I'll give you some details. The Fast and Furious will be like a cosmic rewind with a controlled spin.
Okay.
It'll be going over 70. That's right, 70 miles per hour.
Very cool.
And you'll be going on that little spike there, man. So get ready to race,
Oh,
because
wow.
this,
Wait,
this is a
that goes
ride.
up and back?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
this is a
Okay,
ride
I'll
you'll have to
watch
be
from
stapled
below.
in.
Y'all can go. You know me, Jay. You got to know me really well at Knott's, so we'll just say hi from down below. I'll hold everybody's stuff. You guys go on that one.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll have to staple you into.
We talk a lot on social media about sight lines, and this attraction is going to be the sightline
Kill it.
nightmare.
Yeah. Kill the night.
But it's going to be fun. But I'm just
It's gonna
saying,
be fun.
sightline wise, it's
It'll be
gonna
a nice weenie, so to speak. Yeah?
It's
Nice
gonna
sight
kill
line.
right.
it will be definitely it will catch your attention for sure.
Oh,
No question
yeah.
about that. You will be able to see it from Super Nintendo World. That's no bones about that. But I think
Right.
this area, this is currently Simpsons, and I think this whole thing will be beautified by this. It's got the kind of sleek, modern architecture and stuff like that. LA, it's very in keeping with that whole motif. So I think it will actually be pretty good. But I mean, this is just like the tip, as Josh Tomorrow would say, the tip of the iceberg, right?
Daddy
More
Josh.
things are on the way for this little park right here, and it's so encouraging to see. I remember I've seen this park grow up, over the years, and to kind of sprawl out in the way it will is very, very good. OG, you mentioned the tram tour, and I think that the studio tour will always be kind of a quintessential part of this experience, only because it's the only place where you can. Okay, Warner Brothers is right next door. I get it, but it's one of the only places where you can actually see an active an actively used studio that is handling productions every single day, and that's a very unique quality that I think they want to maintain. And so I don't envision a tremendous amount of the studio tour being removed, but I mean, the Fast and Furious section that exists right now, the Falls Lake, the Nope sets, I think all of those are not long for this world. So if you like them, well, you might want to get on the studio tour right now.
The Nope section of the tram is so underwhelming because, and this is a problem, right? If they were just to drive through the Nope sets and that's it, it'd be fine. It'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
The problem is you leading up to that Nope set, they build it up. Oh, okay, they got the staticky screens, and oh man, something cool is gonna happen. Then they park you.
Stop.
Right? Right. Then you stop there in the middle of this little town. You're thinking, oh, what's gonna happen? Because every other time you stop on the tram, either you got this flood of water, you got an earthquake, a giant shark. You park in the Nope area, and it's like, I don't know what happens. There's like a little bit of music and like static, and then you drive off.
The sound, and then you're like, ooh, gotta get away from here.
Oh, yeah, very underwhelming. So it's definitely. I'm glad it's on its way out. That could go.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to pivot to our. I wanted to pivot a little bit to our last topic. This is interesting, right? This is a little segment I like to call tea time. Okay, tea time, little tea time right now.
Mhm.
This gentleman. Okay. Ben Zolek. He is Universal
boy.
Creative. There we go. Let's
This
do
is
it,
it.
Dre. Let's do it.
This is
Okay.
it.
Balls
This is tea
to
time.
balls.
Yes. Rolling balls to the wall. Doing some tea time. There we go. There we go. So Ben is he works for Universal Creative, and he's created a kind of a stir with his tweet, right? So he says here, finally, Rotron, I can report that just like the one in Shanghai, it's not very good, too short, too slow, too bare, and cheap looking. Disney can do better. Also, that's Ben.
That's his profile
enjoying
picture.
the hell out of Tron. Okay, so Dre, I'll start with you. What are your overall thoughts about this?
Oh yes. This has caused quite a stir amongst his Twitter at large, right? I mean, you had people like Eddie Sato actually responding back and saying, some stuff. It seems to rustled everybody's feathers because now they're all going after Jim Schull for something, and it's all like, whoa, like what is going on here? Look, Ben. I can't say the last name there. I'll just say, maybe shouldn't have been so critical, so harsh, right? This is a guy that apparently works at Universal Creative. He's like in this industry, he's in this space, and usually it's a little bit uncouth to judge somebody else's work, at least publicly, this critically and this harshly, right? Because you have to understand,
right.
WDI, Disney, they talk to other people and sometimes about you, right? And so, when you go to work and maybe you leave Universal Creative one day and you want to work at WDI, that's not going to happen. And then maybe you want to work in other parts of the industry, and people know your reputation now. So this was ill-advised, I will say. And but a lot of people were like, well, wait a minute, too cheap, too bare looking. Look at, we just talked about a bare coaster with Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, right? Hulk and so forth. There are examples from which people can kind of say whoa, too cheap, too bare looking. What are you talking about? There's a plethora of these kind of experiences at Universal parks. What are you saying? And I guess he kind of, I want to say he backpedaled a little bit, saying, well, I don't criticize Universal Creative because this and that. And the other reason, it's like, look, listen, you got a little bit ahead of your skis here. You're thinking you're this, big time creator. And when you ruffle feathers like this within your own industry, people lash out. And that's an unfortunate thing that happened.
Well, and here's the thing. He kind of goes on to say that he kind of defends his stance, saying well, I'm a guy with an opinion, and he's right. Ben is not wrong with that. He has every right to his opinion, but the issue though is that when you're in the industry, like you said, it's a little uncouth. And here's the thing: when these Hollywood figures come out, right, in these interviews, and they trash Marvel and they trash Marvel movies, there's a reason why people get upset about that. It's not because said director has an opinion. It's not that. It's just that when you work in this industry and you're trashing other creatives' work, it's not a good look. And it's the same in the theme park space, right? You're kind of going out there and you're kind of putting down your colleagues' work, and you're doing it in a very, very harsh way. It comes off very unprofessional. And Dre, you're absolutely right. When you work in this industry, you don't know when the next time layoffs will hit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What if this guy gets laid off? Hopefully he doesn't. I don't want that for anybody. But if you get laid off, where else are you going to go? I mean, the next big place is Disney. Well, now you have a bunch of tweets out there trashing their new ride. Right. You think they're going to want to bring you into the fold? Probably not. So it's a risky move. But Ethan, what are your thoughts on Ben kind of going after Tron?
Regarding the layoff comment, could be also the reason he could get laid off is maybe Universal Creative didn't like that tweet either. You know, I was like, wait,
That's
hey,
true.
why are you saying you're working for us and you're trashing? That's not good. Get out of here. You know, we don't want you working for us. So that could be like a double whammy there.
Right.
But also, I think his comment is not very, in my opinion, not very true. It's only about too slow. It's like 60 miles per hour. It's pretty fast, especially for a Disney coaster or a Universal coaster.
Very
It
true.
looks good to me. I mean, it doesn't look bare to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not that hard to please, but I mean, it looks great, especially at nighttime. It looks fantastic. Too short. That's the only one I can really get. But I think it looks great. But even if you think those things, you know, you shouldn't like say it, or you should take that you work for Universal Creative out of your bio and just be like a regular person, and then like
Right.
your opinion, you know. And then the Disney canon should do better. On that one, you don't need to say that either because they have a lot of good stuff. So I don't. That doesn't. A lot of it just doesn't really make sense to me. But
It's about professionalism at the end of the day, I think, you know, and it's okay to have an opinion. No one's saying Ben can't have an opinion. It just doesn't look good. And he's kind of getting a little heat for it, kind of a lot of heat. And you know, I don't know. But what do you think, Mindy? You think this is kind of on the unprofessional side? Do you think he's totally in the right for doing this? Where do you kind of stand with this?
I don't know. I think it's kind of, I'm agreeing with you, hands down. I don't know. How do you choose? How do you choose what it
Yeah.
is? Like, you could say that, but should you? I don't know. I will plead the fifth.
Well, okay. I mean, if you're a content creator, like let's say on social media or on YouTube, and you criticize somebody else's work, well, you're damaging your relationship
That's
with that person in the
exactly. It's
future.
like, what do you say to that? Like,
Exactly.
do
Right.
better, be better, sure. But look at, Chapek put his foot in his mouth last month. And he's like, or not last month. It was when didn't he? When he's like 10-hour lines, 10-hour lines. You guys failed. And he was talking about Universal. He's like, you guys failed. And then they're like, what'd you just do? What did you just say? We're about to open this huge land and you're going to kill us because what are we going to do? There's going to be 10-hour lines. They couldn't let that happen. Right. So things like that is like, do you say bad things and knock people down or go with I just I'll pull a Taylor Swift and plead the fifth.
It's no, you're absolutely right, Mindy. I think when you're in this industry, there's a level of responsibility, and this is the other thing too. He kind of goes into it a little bit with some fans. Look, some people were kind of trolling him a little bit, and he was kind of going back and kind of in the mud with people.
Right.
This is the thing. And Dre and we talked about this ad nauseum on this channel with Lucasfilm and these content creators that go on in social media and they start getting in the mud with fans. When you start getting in the mud on Twitter, and believe me, I've been there, okay? And I regret it. It never looks good for either side. Even if you win the argument, you still look like an asshole, right? So it's never a good look. And when you get in there, this is a professional guy. He works for Universal Creative. It doesn't matter who's trolling you or who's kind of poking you and whatever. You just stay out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And Ethan, you bring up a fantastic point where it's like Universal might be turned off by that. We were kind of focusing on Disney being like, hey, we don't want you if you come over here. But maybe Universal is looking at this going, well, this doesn't look good for us either. You're representing the brand, right? And the thing that's frustrating is even Ben realizes that because in his bio, he says that my opinions don't represent the company. So to some degree, he understands.
He acknowledges that.
Right. And then he's doing this. I'm like, just because you have that in your bio doesn't mean that you don't represent the company.
Oops. Doesn't mean
you
so.
still represent. Yeah. Wild stuff. But at the end of the day,
again, which the basic thing you should do, you know, he's no Joe Rohde, so he's not, no one knows him. So he should start it off that he took out that he's part of Universal Creative and just been like a regular dude giving his opinion on Twitter, you know, because he's not like some celebrity Imagineer or anything yet. No, it's not like Joe Rohde, something like that. No. So it could have worked, but he kind of shot himself in the foot with that one.
Yeah, and to be fair to Ben, I did respond to him, and we talked a little bit, and he was very cordial and very civil with me. And he explained, I want to kind of give his side of it. I asked him, you know, shouldn't Universal be part of this equation? Because like you said, Dre, they make a lot. There are quite a few examples of coasters that are just as bare or
Rip
whatever.
Rip Ride Rocket, yeah.
Hulk and stuff like that, right? And he responded, and actually his response was very civil, very polite, and he made sense. He said, well, yes, you're right, but I am very limited as to what I can say about Universal because I work there, and I respect that. He's absolutely correct on that,
Sure.
And so I understand that, so he understands that he's got some limitations. Obviously he doesn't want to like hurt his job. So I get that. I absolutely get that. And he was very nice to me. I got to say, he was very nice to me. He didn't try to attack me or go after me at all. So that was cool.
Blocking you. So
that's good.
No,
good.
He didn't. No, he didn't block me. He was very, very cordial, very, very nice. So,
it's good to have opinions, and I think you got to give yourself space when you put something controversial out. You're going to get feedback, guys. They have to expect that. If you have a YouTube channel, you're going to expect negativity. I mean, it's just the way it is. And just as people, we got to expect that not everybody's going to like us. It's okay to not be liked.
Yes.
And you have to go in with that. If you're going to put something out, that somebody's going to say something about it, and it's not going to be the nicest thing, and go, oh, it's okay. They don't agree. Not everybody sees the same thing. And that's why our world works so well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Wow, what a very balanced response.
There we go. But very, very interesting conversation today. Mindy, it was fantastic having you on the channel. You are always welcome back to talk shop with us.
You better be on every single show.
We have to do it in the rain again, though, so we'll have to go back.
Yes,
now that Dre did the most amazing thing and like bumped me up to an annual pass, now I have to go back with you guys.
Yes.
Look at that!
Look at that!
So
Santa,
it's gonna happen again.
There was talk that she might come out in the summer, so why not be prepared?
Well, it's gonna happen.
There you go.
And that we live like 5 miles apart from each other. I'm like, dude, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Let's do it.
Right. There you go. Santa Dre is coming to town. Right. making dreams come true. It's awesome. Right. It's awesome.
I will be back anytime, guys. Anytime. You say when, I'll be here.
Perfect. Mindy, if you can just remind everybody at home where they can find you on social media, podcast, all that good stuff.
Again, so we have actually the podcast that we have is a Walk with Walt podcast. It's amazing. And we get the most fantastic people on. We just had Steven Anderson, who directed Winnie the Pooh and Meet the Robinsons. Guys, we have so many people that are coming on the show. It's fantastic. Don't miss it. And you can find me at Sweet Miss Magical Mindy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So thank you so much.
Yep. Check her out and check the podcast, all that good stuff. Right over here, we got producer. Actually, you know what? Since this is the first time Mindy's on, let's do the official Vash Sky intro. Here we go. You ready? Are you ready?
Good. Go.
He's ready.
The man with many titles. Bringing you juicy news and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. Mr. Vash Sky.
There you go. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, OG. I do appreciate it. Well, okay, all right.
That was good.
Do appreciate it. No, well, hey, it was very fun chatting with you all. This was a very illuminating conversation. Wizard, I didn't know that it was 500-room hotel rooms for this Hollywood resort concept. 2 of them.
Hotels.
If you combine those, I mean, Disneyland Resort, I think Disneyland Hotel is 990 without this tower here, so that's a lot. Didn't quite know that, so that's very, very cool. But if you guys want to, talk to me, discuss with me, follow me for little tidbits like that, you can go ahead and do so at Vash Sky on Twitter. It's right down there. Just go ahead and type it in, and it should pop up for all the, as Christine Wastons McCarthy would say, for all the robust discussion right there. And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55, where we have some amazing shows, including my own Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove.
There we go. And Mr. Ethan, Theme Park Wizard, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media and also your merch store.
You can find me on Theme Park Wizard on YouTube. Theme_park_wizard on Instagram. And Park Wizard 1 on Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter.
You can
Twitter.
also buy all my stuff for 100% markup on themeparkwizard.shop.
There we go. Always got the. I love
I'm
Wizard.
ripping you off.
There you go. Wizard is always
Very
hustling.
much.
Yes. Well, and Wizard, do you still have your billboard over in Universal City?
It's still there for at least one more month. So go take a picture, tag
It's
me in
amazing.
whatever you show, and tell other people to go on themeparkwizard.shop and make sure to tell them that I am ripping them off.
Yes. All
More
right.
than Super Nintendo World.
There we go.
It's been an honor serving with you all.
Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on Universal Hollywood, the expansion plans, Nintendo World, all that good stuff. Get ripped off by Wizard. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.